You know, I was privileged to have a great career in management, managing people like Elton John, Guns N' Roses, Beyoncé, Iron Maiden, Morrissey, Nile Rodgers. And at a certain point, I added songwriters to my portfolio, being The Dream, Diane Warren, Justin Tranter. And it was really only at that time that I realized the inequity and the imbalance that existed in how songwriters were paid versus how record companies were making money. You know, when you're managing someone like Elton John, you're looking at this total pool of income that includes live income, includes merchandising income, endorsements, record royalties, publishing royalties, etc. So you don't necessarily notice that imbalance that exists. But when you're looking at someone like Diane Warren, who writes a song like I Don't Want to Miss a Thing that goes #1 all over the world for Aerosmith, and Aerosmith are getting paid $750,000 or $1 million a night for people to hear her song, but ultimately she's getting this tiny, 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 tiny royalty, and I wanted to do something about that. And I realized that the best thing to do was to create a platform that demonstrated what the true value of these songs were versus what the record business would like you to believe the value of those songs were. And this coincided with streaming coming along, and I sat down at a certain point very early on with Daniel Ek and Martin Lawrenson from Spotify and said to them, look, I don't know if you really fully understand what you're going to do here, but one of the things that's really important to know is that you're going to take music and you're going to make people that have never paid for music before buy music like a utility as opposed to a discretionary or luxury purchase, because I could see that this idea of paying $10 a month for all of the music that you could possibly consume and having access to everything was going to be very attractive. Not because the consumer necessarily wanted the songwriter or the artist to be remunerated properly, but because it was like, valet parking. It was convenient for them to pay this $10 or $11 or now, $11 to $12 a month, because they wouldn't have to search the dark nether regions of the internet. And once I saw that, I realized that there was a case for investment and that institutional investors would, particularly after 16 years of technological disruption, see that there was an interesting investment case here. These great songs that we buy, when they hit, they become a part of our lives, they become a part of the fabric of society, and the way that we as human beings interact with music, it's very much a part of our emotional barometer and our well-being. So, if you were a 14-year-old boy or girl in 1982, having your first crush while listening to Eurythmics' Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, 40 years later, that song is still a part of your life and it will continue to be a part of your life forever. And as a result, there's very predictable and reliable income that comes with that. So every time you push play on Spotify to listen to Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, there are two transactions that are taking place. There's one transaction that's taking place for the recording, and there's a separate transaction that's taking place for the copyright of the song. And in the case of Eurythmics and Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, we get paid on both of those transactions. Sometimes we get paid on only the publishing transaction for other songs. Sometimes we get paid for only the master recording transaction for other songs. But in many cases, we get paid for both of those transactions every time the song is played. Well, I think one of the reasons why Hipgnosis has been so successful is because we only deal with songs that have already been extraordinarily successful and that are of great cultural importance. So when we buy these songs, they are proven already, right? So it's a question of, are we underwriting the data properly and are we paying the right price for it? And I think we've proven. Yeah. One of the other ways that we mitigate risk is obviously through diversification, and that's one of the great things when you're buying catalogs from songwriters, right? Because songwriters, as opposed to artists, are very well diversified. So if you look at someone like The Dream, he's written iconic songs for Beyoncé, he's written iconic songs for Rihanna, he's written iconic songs for Justin Bieber, he's written iconic songs for Mariah Carey, And there's a wide diversity there that ensures that the songs are always in circulation. And of course, someone can come along and either interpolate those songs and create another income stream for us, or cover the song entirely and create another income stream for us as well. So diversification is very important. The two most important things are the songs have to have been extraordinarily successful, and they have to be of great cultural importance as well. So, when you look at a song, you're looking at not only the data that comes with it, but you're also looking at what the quality of the song is. One of the things that makes this attractive as an asset class is that it's, in general, around the world, protected by 70 years of copyright, and that 70 years begins with the death of the last co-composer. So on average, these are 100-year plus income streams, but that's really only worth talking about if the songs that you buy are of the quality and the cultural importance and the success that can last 100 years and still be important 100 years from now. Streaming services have been critical to the investment thesis because we went through 16 years of technological disruption in the music industry between the years 2001 and 2016, where effectively people were able to consume the music that they wanted, but they were able to consume it for free. So piracy really became the thing that almost killed the entire industry in that period of time. Streaming has made it more convenient for people to pay for music once again. And of course, they're doing it in record numbers. So when we started Hipgnosis, there were 30 million paid subscribers to music streaming services around the world. Now, 6 years later, there are 500 million paid subscribers to music streaming services around the world, touching 600 million. Depending on whose research you're looking at, in the next 10 to 15 years, we will have somewhere between 1 billion and 2 billion paid subscribers. And when you look at some of the Hipgnosis catalogs, when you look at, say, Neil Young's catalog, the oldest songs are 60 years old. When you look at the fact that we own Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie from Fleetwood Mac, those songs are 47 to 50 years old. When you look at Nile Rodgers, those are 45-year-old songs. When you look at Eurythmics, those are 40-year-old songs. When you look at Bon Jovi, those are 35-year-old songs. And I mention those artists not just because they're part of our catalog, but because they are 5 or 6 of the biggest artists of all time, yet they've never made money in China or India or Africa until now, right? Huge parts of Latin America and South America that were illicit, parts of Europe even that were illicit consumption, where the person would go to the local bodega and pay a couple dollars for the bootleg CD, and that money would never ever make its money through to us. Now that money is going into streaming, and we're being paid by the streaming services for our rights. So emerging markets will play a huge role in this story. And streaming, ultimately, not only do you have this high quality data, but you now have a consumption model that has gone from being a discretionary or luxury purchase to very much being a utility purchase. Well, I think the fact that we also have brought song management, which is different from publishing. There are lots of publishers out there. There are a few song managers out there, and I hope that that changes, that our example is something that leads other people into the song management business, where these iconic songs that are part of the fabric of our lives are managed with greater responsibility, and they're in the right movies, they're in the right TV commercials, they're in the right TV shows, that they are being interpolated by other songwriters, and that they are being covered by other artists, so that they continue to have the importance that they should have. The most rewarding part of this journey is the third tenet. I had 3 goals in mind when I started the company. One was to establish songs as an asset class. The second was to create song management as the new paradigm. And the third was to use the success of the platform to take songwriters from the bottom of the economic equation to the top of the economic equation. And that is happening today. When you hear other people in the industry talk, they talk about how songwriters need to be paid properly. There's been CRB3 and CRB4 in the US. There's been legislative initiatives in the UK and other parts of the world to hopefully get to a place where songwriters are receiving a more fair and equitable share of the equation. And that was my purpose.